President Moffett continued to aggressively foster evangelistic meetings throughout Virginia, not only to win converts for Christ, but also to provide students for the academy. In 1914, at Yale, Virginia, most of a Russian Baptist congregation became Adventist after a series of tent meetings. Some of the converts went to Shenandoah Valley Academy. Moffett encouraged every church to operate an elementary school, not the least of the reasons being to provide a source of students for the academy. In 1916, President Moffett called a very capable educator, H.M. Forshee, and his wife Bertha to be principal and English teacher. They agreed not to leave after 1 year, as their two predecessors had done. By the fall of 1916, God had so blessed the efforts being put forth that the academy was bulging with students. The problem now was where to house them. In 1918, Forshee had a boys' dormitory built behind the original building. The following year, in 1919, the Virginia Conference built a new administration building and named it Zirkle Hall after Charles Zirkle.
Just at this time, it seemed that the devil did his best to discourage us. In October, the flu struck the school, and a large number of the students became ill. Miss Anna Watkins, matron of the school, and I carried a little oil stove, our fomentation cloths, and a dishpan from floor to floor, battling the fever. The Lord blessed, and we saved all of the students except one, my 13-year-old daughter, Doris.
As the student body increased, 24-foot additions were added to both ends of the original building. In 1927, W.C. Hanna was called to be principal of SVA. He said of the school,
"It was not until after I arrived that I discovered the condition of the buildings. The plaster was falling off, the walls, the floors sagged dangerously, and the entire place was in general run-down condition. When I saw its condition, I told them I would stay only 1 year. Well, our 1 year lengthened into 2, and it seemed to me that unless something was done, the school might have to close down. Elder W.P. Elliott, then conference president, told me that he would come to Newmarket to see me the first of next week to look over the situation. When he arrived, he promptly told us to tear the building apart, take off the roof, get ready to replace the floors, and plaster the walls. We went ahead by faith, wondering from where the money was coming to finish the job. Thanks to the loyal support of our church members, the hard work of the students and faculty, and the help of the conference, we continued to remodel until we had spent $25,000 for the building and its furnishings. We named the remodeled building Elliott Hall after our conference president, whose vision and faith had encouraged us to go ahead.
W.C. Hanna spent 26 years as principal of the academy, from 1927 to 1953. In 1934, disaster struck the school while W.H. Shepard was Bible teacher and dean of boys at the academy. Let him tell what happened.
We were all in the dining room, Sabbath, eating our dinner. The boy had just come back from the kitchen with our dessert, which happened to be devil's food cake that day, and he said, "There's a lot of smoke out behind the old dormitory." We looked out the window, and sure enough, the sky was black with smoke, seemingly coming from the far side of the building. Obviously, everyone rushed out of the dining room. The building was burned clear to the ground in about 15 or 20 minutes, it seemed. The boys lost their everything that they had. It was necessary for us to put the boys in the administration building. We set up a lot of bunks in the library and in some of the classrooms, and this way we continued through the year. This extreme shortage, of course, made it necessary for us to remodel Zirkle Hall that summer and start Shenandoah Hall. We lived underground in Shenandoah Hall for a year.
Shenandoah Hall was the new administration building, and it was the hub of activity for 41 years. But the front door of Shenandoah Hall was put in the new administration building, the new brick administration building when it was built, and it was put there so that returning alumni would remember some of the old frame buildings that were on campus when they went to school here. In the 1930s, Dr. Henry Hadley, a physician in Washington, D.C., and his wife Anna, a nurse, generously donated to support Shenandoah Valley Academy. In 1959, I interviewed Dr. Hadley and asked him why he had been so generous in his gifts to Shenandoah Valley Academy.
Well, I think that they're entirely natural causes. My wife was a former student there. She was from Virginia, and on visits in the area, we always stopped at Shenandoah. And when our children became old enough to attend high school, it seemed quite a natural thing to enroll them at Shenandoah, where we felt that the boarding school arrangement and the location was such that we felt it would be of value to them to have that experience.
During the interview, I asked Dr. Hadley why he had been so especially interested in developing a farm and a dairy at Shenandoah Valley Academy.
Well, I was a farmer before I studied medicine, my father before me, and we knew a great deal about dairy farms. We became interested in having Shenandoah have a real dairy because that's something that I knew most about and felt it would be of value to the school.